Welcome to the Beyond Divorce, Embracing Change podcast. My name is Michael Flores, and I will be your host while we explore the complex journey of divorce with empathy, insight, and practical knowledge. Whether you're contemplating separation, in a divorce, or looking for support post-divorce, our episodes provide expert guidance, stories, and strategies to help you through every step of the process. We are actual therapists, helping clients who sit on our couches every day through their difficulties of divorce. You are not alone. Join us as we delve in and find solutions that give you hope again. We're glad you're here.
This podcast is not intended to replace legal or personal help. This podcast is for informational purposes only.
Well, happy day to you all, and thank you again for being here on Beyond Divorce, Embracing Change. I said it right. I used to say it backwards. I said it right this time. Beyond Divorce, Embracing Change. And I'm here with Arrianna. Arrianna is got a really great topic on communication, which is really important. And I would say, would you agree, or you could disagree with me, Arrianna, would you disagree that most communication, most breakdowns in relationships are a issue of communication in some form?
Absolutely. And I was just talking to Jen before this that, I feel like if people understood how to communicate better, then I think probably that would solve 80, if not 90% of the issues that we're seeing for people who come into our office.
Yeah.
That's how important I would say that it is.
Do you suppose that is it higher than 90% of the breakdown of most relationships is a communication issue in some form? Was it 90? You think it's that high, or is it lower than that, in your opinion?
I think it is pretty high.
Michael, you're going to put numbers on this.
Yeah, I
There's the
think
data.
therapy in general, because this has come up a lot for me.
Well, I'll say this to you. In the years I've done this, working with families of divorce, working with couples who are trying to save their marriage. So these are couples that are married and they're working on saving their marriage. Working with couples who are building a marriage. They're doing the pre-marital counseling, which I love. I think it's so awesome when couples come in and talk about, before we get married, let's have conversations about how we see things. And I love those sessions too. Do you want to know what the most common thing that comes up is? In all of them, the common denominator is communication.
Yeah.
So in the marriage, we don't communicate well. So we're coming to therapy. They always say, well, we just need to better communicate. Guess what they're saying? Guess what the issue is when they're divorced? They're not communicating.
Yeah.
Or they do it very poorly. So I'm sitting here going, hey, we got a common thread here. So I wonder if and when the communication does change, how much that can change in dynamic of all of it. So why does communication break down, Arrianna? Let's talk about that.
Yeah, so there's a couple of pieces to communication, really. The first piece, obviously, being the words that you say. So, that's kind of a first step in thinking about the message that you're trying to convey. What is it you want somebody to understand? It's the words that you say. The second piece is really the tone. So I could say, Michael, you're doing a great job, which might be different than, Michael, you're doing a great job. Right? Like there's a difference in inflection. One might have been encouraging and happy, and the other one might have been sarcastic and really trying to make Michael feel like a piece of crap because he's not doing a good job. Right? So it's the words you say and the tone. But really the biggest piece is the meaning or the story that the person would be filling in. So maybe I did still say, Michael, you're doing a great job. And Michael filled in the story of, oh, she's just getting on to me again, or oh, I suck at this, right? Like our brains are great at filling in the story. And that is truly the piece that often impacts the way that communication is breaking down.
It's the story we tell ourselves of what that means, the meaning we put behind the experience of that moment.
Exactly. What we are hearing, not necessarily what that person said, what we are hearing internally with all of the background noise and the experience of the day. And
I heard what you said. This is what I heard. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, I got it. That's awesome. So those three things, I'm going to say them again. It's the words you say, the tone in which you use when you say those words, and the story that gets filled in from what was said and what was basically the inferences, what was inferred.
Yeah. So part of that, so really, the first two you have control over, right? You can think of the words that you were actually saying to this person. You can be cognizant of your tone. But you also, the story the other person fills in. I'm sure you're thinking, well, how do I figure that out? That's not my problem. That's not on me. That's on them. Well, don't worry, friends. We'll talk through that and how you can really communicate in a way that even though you only have control of the first two, you can make sure that what you are trying to convey is aligned with what that person is hearing.
How can they tell? I know this might be a harder question, but how can they tell when someone may have inferred it wrong? Like, what would be a way for them to go, oh, I think they may have mistaken me here? And then notice that mistaken me? Mistake? Yeah, mistaken. They may have mistaken me here.
Yeah. I mean, it's really checking in. That's checking in with them. And you're kind of jumping ahead here.
Oh, darn it. I'm sorry. That's my solution-oriented brain.
Yeah.
Trying to put the pieces together and how does it go forward? What is it? I want to clarify tone, because I think some people have heard that the majority of communication, people that listen to this stuff will say, the tone of voice, your tone and your body language. That one comes up too. Your body language, your tone. But what I'm hearing you say is the tone and your body language actually become the inference that the other person is using to make what you said what it became for them.
Yeah, it's all part of the context clues or the way that they're rearranging and taking in the information to form what it is that they heard from you.
Why do you suppose we do that as a human race with people? We do it with everyone. We do it with our friends, teachers, our co-parents, our kids. Why do we do that?
I feel like, as people, we want to be understood. And maybe, especially if it's a relationship that there's a lot of emotion in or there might be conflict with, we want to make sure that we're not wrong and we're afraid of being wrong or failing. And so we've got to try to put pieces together to make it make sense in our head. And it more often does make sense to us in our head, but it might not make sense to what the person was intending.
So now I'm wondering, with these divorced families, when they have this unresolved pain, is it really them just wanting to be heard?
That's what I see most often in my room, on my couch, for sure.
People will just want to be heard. Does that mean that they want to be agreed with? Or is that different?
I think some people will fight tooth and nail to be agreed with, but I think for the majority of folks that I see, they're pretty open and accepting of other viewpoints and other perspectives.
Okay.
It's just they want to be heard and understood.
What difference does it make for people once they do get to experience being heard? Have you seen, at least in your work, when a person really feels heard, what difference does it make for them?
I think it allows them to be more vulnerable.
Oh my gosh. Wow. And how does that help communication?
Well, that's what I was going to say, right? We're not putting on a front. We're not having to portray ourselves a certain way. If we're in a space that we feel like we're being heard and understood, we're going to be a little bit more authentic, which allows for a better understanding, which allows for, collaboration in creating whatever it is this relationship is to you and what you want this relationship to look like, whether that's parent, child, co-parents, grandparents, whatever relationship it is that you're involved in, that understanding it.
Does vulnerability create clarity in communication?
I think it can. Because I think deep down, when I see clients struggling, or even thinking, to myself and conversations that I've had, I think if you're trying to protect something or you're worried about something, whether it's something you deem as a character flaw or a characteristic of yourself, when you have that guard up, it limits the vulnerability and it limits kind of the ability to have open communication.
Yeah, that's we went really deep on this communication thing. I'm like, well, I don't know if the listeners got more than they gambled for there.
Well, it made me think of the counterfeit yeses that we talk about a lot in our work. You know, checking in with parents, with families that we're working with. You know, what are you against? And sometimes, I'm not against anything. Well, don't give me a yes if you actually mean you're not doing X, Y, and Z, because then
what are you willing
working from a deficit because we don't know what we're aligned on.
That's right. What are you willing to do? I'll do anything. You know, that's such a counterfeit. There's no such thing. No human being will do anything. There's a limitation to all. So I want to know what those are. So yeah, what are you against doing is going to help me understand that and uncover your limitations, which helps me understand how to better help you. Because now I know where I can't venture.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I agree. And getting rid of those counterfeits is really helpful in any kind of communication. I noticed that you had some funny phrases that can go wrong. That was one of the segments here you had. And I don't know if it's a good time to get into that, but
yeah, well,
how do you want to
lighten it back up again? We kind of went down a hole and
yeah, it's okay. I think it's good because we're thinkers. When we're sitting in a session with clients, we're thinking like that. We're going, ooh, I wonder about this. Ooh.
Yeah. What is the fundamental piece here? What are we really trying to
I love that.
to get down to?
Oh, that's why I like you, Arrianna. Yes. What is that? That's so me. What's the fundamental? Some people don't like when I move them that quick, but yeah. I get what you're saying.
Well, so I was gonna say, let's get into it. Kind of a game, really.
Oh, play a game.
I'm sure that y'all listeners have heard these phrases and probably said a few. So I'm gonna say the phrase, and I want Michael to tell us what he heard when I said that.
Oh, okay.
All right. First one. Calm down.
So the first thing that comes to mind when you tell me to calm down is that I'm wrong. And I need to check myself.
Yeah.
That's what I'm hearing you. Check yourself. Yeah.
Yeah, and we hear that one quite a lot, whether it's an argument between ex-spouses or, you know, a kiddo and a parent, and the kiddo becomes tearful and calm down, right?
Yeah. I've heard kids say it to parents.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What about whatever?
Did you go to a teenage kid and go, hey, tell me all the things you say? I'm going to play a game with an adult.
Well, see, and then this was and that's really where this comes from. You know, I run a children's group, and this was the curriculum. This was the piece that we were doing this week.
That's hilarious.
And in seeing, you know, my clients as well, adults, families, kiddos, this also was really pertinent to what I've been seeing as well. So I was like, let's
do it. This is fun. Okay, so the quote, you were saying whatever.
Yeah.
This isn't important. This is a waste of my time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm not respecting the conversation.
That's what I'm hearing. Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, is that a means to keep continuing and figuring out and listening, or in that moment, if we're talking and I say whatever,
that puts me in a position of wanting to correct.
Right.
So it's like, oh, wait, back go. You said whatever, so you're just completely dissing what's important to me here. So I feel a little bit like, you know, on the out, like you're like, what I feel and think doesn't matter anymore because you're whatevering it. So.
Which almost puts a roadblock.
It's a roadblock. That's right.
The way of moving forward.
That's right. So that's what I heard when you said whatever.
Okay. What about you always do this, or you always make a scene, but that word always.
I think the word always, what I hear is that you have a version of me that you see that's not truly authentic to who I am.
Right.
That's what I hear.
Yeah. That you always is almost everything that I do as a person, as my personality, is wrong.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's very similar to what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a big one. Whenever we're using
always and never.
Exactly.
Always and never. Try to get rid of those. Sometimes and maybe. Sometimes you do this, and maybe you could. No, I don't know. I'm just trying to think of a way we could replace that. Okay.
Well, I mean, it does invite the opportunity for change and for growth.
What if we were able, Arrianna, to come up with a way to help people understand the words they use that invite that? These are the words that are commonly used to invite change and growth. when you say them these ways, or these words have a connotation for most people that invite change and growth. I wonder if we just asked, what if we did like a little, we could ask the other therapist here.
Yeah. And see how many times it comes up and what it would be.
That'd be cool. Yeah. See, we find a pattern. That'd be neat. It's a cool one. Okay. Sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. No.
Another hole went into.
Well, no, that's important, right? Especially as we talked about, marriage counseling or any of the post-divorce counseling pieces, right? If we have this idea, this belief of this person, they always, then right there, you're not even believing that they can change and be better and be a better parent or be a better spouse.
But now we're setting ourselves up to look for all those things just to reassert that we're right.
Mm-hmm.
Your brain will do that too. If I just say, don't look at any red cars, for the rest of the day, and all you do is see red cars, it's because your brain's looking for them now, and because I said something about red cars. Now you're looking for it. So if you always do something, I'm always looking for that.
It might have only been 5 red cars.
You missed all the blank ones. You couldn't look at the red ones. That's right. You're right. Okay.
I got one more, and I want to kind of transition us into a tool to try.
Ooh, nice. Okay.
So, what about just relax?
Just relax. Well, I feel the opposite. Something about you saying just relax makes me feel like I don't want to. It's almost as I feel pacified. You're trying to pacify me.
So, and what does that do to your motivation to continue this conversation or find a resolution?
Like I said, the natural thing inside of me, my own humanness, is like, I don't want to relax.
Don't tell me what to do.
Yeah, don't tell me what to do. You're taking away my autonomy. Just relax. Yeah, I don't think I've ever. I think I've said calm down before, but I don't know if I've ever said just relax. But now that I'm hearing it come from you, I think that's what I'm taking from it.
And that's some of and I think we say these and we don't mean this. I mean, I know that I've definitely said calm down before, and thinking about this and, what you heard when I said that, I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm cringing over here because it very well could be taken those ways. And so it's a universal problem, right? No one's bad, no one's awful because they're saying these things. We're just inviting an opportunity to be reflective on what the other person in the conversation could hear.
And we're trying to tell you the words that are limiting your ability to have a collaborative conversation, whether it's with your co-parent, with your child, with anyone, in even your own family, or maybe family members of your ex-spouse. If you're trying to collaborate with someone and you're using words like whatever, just relax, calm down, you might be creating the opposite of what you're actually asking to be done.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what we're trying to, it feels like this exercise is helping to expose that a little bit. So that's good. Okay. So what are some tools? I'm sure people want to know, like, what do they do? Is there something they do instead, or is there something they could try?
Well, I mean, I think it's really what we can call the playback method, right? So if someone says something to you, before responding, before, having a reaction, what if you just kind of repeat it back to them and see if that's what you heard is what they meant to say? Now,
the training I have in that, you would say it back to them as a mirror.
Mm-hmm.
I call it mirroring, so saying the same thing back, but using an upward inflection. So
how would you do that, Michael?
Yeah, so if you said calm down, I would say calm down. Right? If you say relax.
Mm-hmm.
I would do it that way. Relax. Kind of almost like a curious, but I would just say the same thing you said.
Okay.
Based on that tool. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, so I'm thinking, and this is actually probably one that I'm imagining couples and parents and caregivers, hear all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So for example, if I said, I just feel like I'm doing everything around here, what's a way that you could hear that and reflect back to make sure you understood?
Doing everything around here?
Yeah.
Probably do it that way. Take the last 3 things you said and use an upward reflection. And just to clarify that I heard what I heard, it's a mirror is what we used to call it. But yeah, so I would just say doing everything around here.
Okay.
And that allows you the opportunity to elaborate or explain what you meant by that.
Yeah, I think that's a great example. I think another way too would be to check in and see what you heard. You're doing everything around here. It sounds like You might be overwhelmed.
Yeah, you're using a label.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good one.
Sounds like you might be overwhelmed. Would you like some help? Am I able to help you?
It seems like you're overwhelmed. Yep.
When at that point they could say, oh, no, I'm fine. Or, yes, of course I'm overwhelmed. I'm doing X, Y, and Z. But...
That's another one. I'm fine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did skip that.
Oh, you had it on the list? I'm fine. No, you're not. Yeah, no, I like the labels. And this is the beautiful thing about communication. There's not one way to do this.
Mm-hmm.
If you're comfortable, okay, so let me do it this way. If you're trying to get more information, like you want them to elaborate more on what they said, I think a mirror works better. Which what you were talking about, a tool, which is to repeat. Mm-hmm. So like, I feel like I'm doing everything around here. Doing everything around here? You're inviting them to tell you more, right? Mm-hmm. The label is the validation. So if you're trying to validate someone and they say, I feel like I'm doing everything around here, it sounds like you have a lot on your plate. It sounds like you're taking on more than you should, right? It seems like you're having to carry a lot. Mm-hmm. You're saying, I think I heard what I think I heard. That's why I'm using a word like sounds like or seems like, which we used to call, well, as I used to, still call it the 5 sense language. And I think those work great, Arrianna. And I'll be honest with you, I use both of them. I've used them in therapy.
Yeah.
If a kid comes in and goes, I just don't think anyone's hearing me. Hearing you? And they'll start telling me, mm-hmm. right? Because I'm mirrored. But if they go, I feel like no one's hearing me, it sounds like you feel like you don't have a voice in this.
Yeah.
Both of those work.
Mm-hmm. Just different approaches to the same...
Exactly.
To the same end, right?
Exactly.
Listening to understand.
So one of the tools we have is labeling, which is using 5 sense language. And then the last one's, I call it mirroring, but you repeating. You call it playback, mm-hmm. repeating it back, okay? What other, are there more tools to that? Or is that it?
Yeah, well, I mean, those were the main ones that I had wanted to chat about today.
Yeah, that's great. I had I know I told you this earlier, but I had a 17-year-old kid. I don't know how I came up with this. We had a similar conversation. Communication was breaking down, and he said, this is what he said. You can literally use it like a formula. He said it this way. When you said, then he repeats what they said. So if you said, I feel like I do everything around here. He says, when you said, I feel like I do everything around here, I heard you feeling overwhelmed. Is that what you meant? And so he's plugging in all 3 parts.
Yeah. He's
plugging in what you said, how I took it, heard, or not even how I took it, but what I heard that to mean. Mm-hmm. And he's clarifying if that's really what you meant by what you said. And that gives you a chance to go, no, that's not what I'm saying. Or, yeah, I thought it was so powerful. I used it with an adult who was upset with me. They were upset because of something I said. And so they responded to that. And I said, when you said that to me, I heard this. Is that what you meant? Mm-hmm. And I remember them looking at me and going, no, it's because you said, and they started clarifying it with me. And I said, oh my gosh, what I meant by that was.
Yeah.
And I guess what we're trying to create here is permission for people to clarify what they mean, not just what they say.
Exactly.
And not just what you heard.
Exactly. That listening to understand piece.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, no. I was just going to interject. I think sometimes, Michael, you and I have been doing this for a while in a certain way, and our theory and our background allows us to automatically look for, the solutions or the more positive side of it. But I was thinking in that example, right, we talked about, where'd you say the tone and the story one person fills in?
Mm-hmm.
So that conversation could have also gone another way, but that tool still could have been very useful for that. So, for example, if I said, I'm doing everything around here, maybe you heard, I'm not doing enough.
Oh, that's exactly what would be inferred, yeah.
Because I imagine that's probably the more likely scenario.
When you get, so what the problem is not problem. I think that most people, when they hear someone they care about complain, mm-hmm. they try to figure out where their role is in that issue. Mm-hmm. So, and they fill it in as they infer, so are you saying I'm not doing enough? Mm-hmm. But they don't ask that. That's how they feel. So they'll defend I'm not doing enough. So here's what you say. I feel like I'm doing everything around here. I just did the dishes yesterday. I cooked breakfast. I did the dishes. I helped you get the kids ready. Don't you see that happening? They start listing off all the things they're doing, which is really a defense mechanism to what? You're saying I'm not doing enough. The way we would do that in a situation is, I feel like I'm doing everything here, and you use a label. It sounds like you're carrying more than you should. Or doing everything around here. Or when you say that, I heard that I'm not doing enough.
Exactly.
Is that what you meant?
And then
that one works good. Yeah. When you feel defensive, I think this is what I would tell the listeners. When you're communicating with someone and you're in a defensive stance or you feel defensive, this one tool, when you said, I heard, is that what you meant, is probably the best one.
Exactly.
Because it speaks to all three, right? It's, you said this, I'm repeating it so that we can hear it back. Let's play back. I heard, meaning this is the defensive piece of me that's taking from it. And I'm clarifying if that's really what you meant to do. Makes sense? Hey, when you didn't, like my kids, so I'm pissed they didn't pick up their toys like I asked them to or something, and I'll say, hey, you can even have to say it. You can say, when you didn't pick up your toys yesterday, I took that to mean that you didn't care. The fact that I gave you the instruction to pick them up, is that what you meant to do?
Yeah, and then that one invites vulnerability from yourself. In a way to say, this is how I felt, this is what
so I
heard. So I took it. And then two, opening the conversation for clarity to understand.
And I think this tool works behaviorally. So this is when you said, I heard, you can say, when you did, I took it to mean, is that what you meant?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's interchangeable. And a 17-year, let me just make sure the listeners understand this. A 17-year-old child, almost adult, a 17-year-old came up with this. He is an awesome kid, and I'm very privileged. He's been with multiple counselors, and I don't remember. It was just the biggest complaint he had was a breakdown in conversation with one of his parents. It just we can't see eye to eye. We argue all the time, and it's not what he wants. And the other parent doesn't want that either. And so the breakdown is that dad will say or do things that this kid interprets to be a certain way and vice versa. And how can they explain this to the other person without putting them in a defensive?
Yeah.
And so as we talk through it, this is literally the formula he came up with. And I don't know, kudos to him. I try not to take, people can't tell, I try not to take credit for almost anything. I think a lot of knowledge is just a different way of hearing the same thing, especially if it's true or good. And if I know where it comes from, I'll give it back to the people that deserve it. Sometimes I'll come up with some cool stuff I'll say, and I'll just be like, oh, cool, I don't know where I got that, but it came from me somewhere, like that 4-hour exercise.
Yeah.
The 4-hour exercise that I created is not uncommon in other theoretical approaches, but they do it differently than the way I'm doing it. Makes sense? And so in a sense, yes, it's half my creation, but in reality, it's just an evolution of thought and knowledge. And so beautiful stuff. On one of the podcast episodes, I talked about your work that you're doing with the non-reunifying parent.
Yes.
Your pilot program. Would you mind just sharing just a little bit about that before we move on? Because this might help talk about communication and experiences that people have. What is this pilot program that you offer here?
Yeah. So really, the reunification project is for those parents that are just, struggling and really wrestling with how do they support their child? How do they support the family when there is this, reintroduction and this conflict amongst the kiddo and their ex-spouse. And oftentimes the non-reunifying parent doesn't have a space to process, doesn't have the opportunity to really work through some of that healing that they might, be needing. And so that's kind of where I get to work with them, and we get to address all of those pieces, all of the feelings and all the experiences that are occurring, when their kiddos are in reunification counseling with the other parent. And honestly, Michael, look, a lot of that piece is communication. So also
100%.
really, really relevant to that, because most conflicts are really with just the misinterpretations of what people are saying. So
my takeaway to y'all listeners is, before reacting in conversations, try to understand, because it almost always will change the conversation.
Yeah, I'm going to say something that I think will help you when you're communicating. It's okay to say to someone that when you're afraid that they're going to break a boundary or they could be manipulating in some way, to say to them, it feels like you want me to be flexible here. It seems like you want me to be more workable with you in the situation. And given our history, how am I supposed to do that? Or given the fact that things have not gone well in the past, I struggle with believing it's different this time. And so what are the things that I need to be aware of to feel like we can have more certainty around this? Being able to, I think the reason I'm bringing this up is because there are some listeners I know that are out there that want to see progress, but they don't believe the other side does, or they believe the other side probably wants there to be improvement, but they don't want to change anything to get there. Mm-hmm. They have this belief that the co-parent is not willing to make why do I have to make all the changes, but my co-parent won't make any changes? Why do I have to be the one to get? I've heard that so many times from people, and I'm not opposed to that. I think it's a phenomenal question, but I think the question you really need to be asking is verifying. Remember, the greatest thing you gave us today, one of the greatest things you gave us today, Arrianna, is that you can flirt with these assumptions, don't marry them, because you're filling in those gaps. So you need to verify that gap you're filling in is accurate, right? And I think that's the type of conversation I wish people had more.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm hearing this, or I'm getting the sense of this, and I just want to make sure I'm on the right track.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like you want me to be more flexible here. And if you want to use some forced empathy, you can say something as simple as, how am I supposed to do that? Which puts the real onus back on them to figure out how to help you solve this problem that you believe that maybe you're the only one solving.
Okay.
Communication. Questions are your greatest gift. It is the way to have the arsenal to help discover exceptions and build solutions. You know what I mean? So it's beautiful. I love it. Thank you, listeners, for being here. We appreciate you so much. Thank you, Arrianna, for doing this. This is a great topic. And I think I love the way you put these together with, let's do a game, let's hear some tools. I can only imagine how helpful that is to the listeners. So thank you, listeners, for being here. Arrianna is a phenomenal teammate. I love her reunification project. If you are interested in that, you connect with us telephonically, 817-924-2732, or you can come to our website at Brighter Possibilities, F as in family, C as in counseling.com, brighterpossibilitiesfc.com. We look forward to connecting with you, working with you, and keep moving forward, everyone. Till next time.